Welcome back everyone to my channel. So I made this beautiful zigzag neckline boo and I decided to share with you all. My name is Imelda aka MC and welcome back to my channel. So first of all, you know how we fold our fabric for boo, right? If you don't know by now, maybe you should check my other videos. Okay, there are videos where I have shown this in the past. So I folded my fabric into four. I folded my fabric into four for my boo to cut together with my front back. Okay, so and then I created a margin line on the beginning part. Okay, I created a margin line on that beginning part, as you can see. Okay, and then I started imputing my vertical measurement. So I marked my shoulder to bust point, shoulder to hip line, and shoulder to the hem. Okay, that is basically all you need for this tutorial. Your hip line, your bust points, and then your hemline, that is the length of your dress. Okay, so next I'm going to divide my hip into four, and that is the quarter of my hip. And then I added 4 inches for allowance. Okay, so I marked the same thing on the hip, and then I marked the same thing on the hemline. All right, so we are done with that part for now. So next is my armhole, because this boo gown is going to have elastic on the on the hand, on the sleeve. Okay, so I just added 2 extra inches for more ease. All right, so on my shoulder I marked my shoulder measurement, and then I marked where I want my sleeve to stop. All right, you can make this to be on your elbow or wherever you want to. So, and as you can see, I am covering my my armhole. Okay, so I marked my neckline. I used 4 inches for width, and then for the depth of my neckline I used 7 inches. All right, so after marking that 7 inches, that is when you will now start, you know I you will now start marking your curve for your zigzag. All right, so I had to bring this very close. Okay, I had to bring it very close, and I had to clean off the first line that I marked because I I wasn't feeling it at all. So for my zigzag, the spaces in between is about 2 inches. Okay, I used 2 inches spaces, and as you can see I went up by about 0.75. Okay, you can go up by 1 inch or even 1.5 depending on what you want, but I would not want a situation whereby my neckline will be gapping. All right, that is why I just used about 0.75 for the for that part. All right, so for my back neckline I used about 2 inches for my depth. All right, you already know that the width is going to be the same with the front neckline. All right, so I am going to first of all cut out my back neckline. All right, and then I'm going to add allowance as well. I added 1/2 inch allowance. All right, so I cut off everything. I equally added 1 inch on the sleeve for my folding allowance. All right, for where the elastic is going to stay. And then when I'm done, I removed my back, and then I cut my front neckline. So this sequin or sequence, however you decide to pronounce it, this fabric is what I'm going to be using for my neck facing. Okay, this fabric is what I'm going to be using for my neck facing. So I just placed my front neckline. I didn't cut out the neckline yet. I just marked what I know would be enough for the depth of the neckline, where I want the neckline to stop, and equally the width. All right, I just cut it off, and I did not shape the neckline yet. Okay, just watch me, you understand what I mean. So I cut off the shoulder, and then equal, and it's also where I want it to stop. So I marked 4 inches in from my neckline. Okay, as you can see, 4 inches. I added half inch for allowance. All right. So for my where the sequence is where just dependent on you, depends on what you want. Okay, so I marked what I have on the shoulder, on the sleeve, on the down part as well. Okay, so I am still going to shape this sequence, but that will be later on. Okay, so let's just keep this aside for now and cut the back neckline. So for my back neckline, remember we used 4 inches for the width of the front neckline. Okay, so that is for the shoulder width for the sequence. Okay, that is from the neckline. Okay, actually that 4 inch is where my my shoulder is. That is where my shoulder is. So this is how I'm going to shape my neckline, my facing for my neckline. You can decide to measure yours 4 inches depth as well. Okay, so next I'm going to use my hairstay for my interfacing. Okay, for so I'm going to laminate this with my hairstay. I prefer using hairstay when I'm working with sequence because it makes it to stay more firm and more better, and it to seize the elasticity of the sequence. Okay, so now I have shaped my facing. Okay, I've shaped my facing. Like I said, you can decide to shape it however you want, but how I did it was just to mark about 2 inches on 4 inches on the on the on the hem of that sequence. So I'm done cutting my fabric, I'm done cutting everything, and equally um iron my stay. So I am going to start sewing my dress now. For my facing, I sew from the wrong side to the right side. Okay, and then I equally top stitched it there. So for this neckline, for this back neckline, I'm going to first sew my zigzag. Okay, I just placed my sequence, and then I secured it with my pin, and then I started sewing my zigzag, as you can see. All right, so I started sewing my zigzag. It is after I'm done sewing this, that is when I am going to cut off the excess and equally notch it. Okay, for this to be perfect and seamless, you need to notch it, notch every part of this zigzag. Okay, you are going to notch every part of the zigzag. Okay, so I am done notching and flipping it to the right side now. Okay, remember that we started sewing from the wrong side, the right side of the sequence facing the wrong side of the fabric. All right, so um I am done with that, and what I'm doing now is to top stitch my sequence down on the fabric. Okay, you can use your hemming gum to actually hold down your fabric, your sequence to the fabric. Okay, all right, so if you do not know your way around this, just use your hemming gum to hold it down. All right, so I have I have sewn these two parts of this, and I've equally sewn the lower part, and that is that for the sequence and the fabric. Okay, next I'm going to join the shoulder. I joined the shoulder by half inch. I joined the two sides of the shoulder by half inch, and after sewing the shoulder, I'm going to sew the side. All right, I'm going to sew the side. So I've joined the other part of the shoulder. Just trim off whatever excess you have there. Okay, trim it off and also sew down the shoulder. All right, so while sewing this, you should make ironing your friend. Iron from time to time, iron on every time you finish each part, okay, you can just spread it out and iron. Okay, so for my side, I have equally gone on the lower part. I'm going to stop at some point on the knee line. Okay, this is to give me ease for movement. All right, so for I started sewing, I sew on 1 inch, all right, on both sides of my dress, and this is what we have. We are actually done with that. So for my elastic on the band, on the sleeve, I'm going to create a casing for it. Okay, so I'm just going to fold in 1/2 inch and then fold another 1/2 inch. Okay, just the way we do our normal piping. All right, so I have folded it and I'm sewing it right now to create a channel for where the elastic is going to, okay, slide through. Okay, so do not forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you love it, and don't forget to drop your comments. Okay, so after sewing, I left a part where the elastic is going to walk through. Okay, so this is the side I left for my elastic to pass through. Okay, so this is my elastic. I just minused about 3 inches on my round sleeve. I just removed 3 inches and then I cut out my elastic. I used a 1/2 inch elastic. All right, so if you see this 0.75 elastic, you can equally use that as well for you. So I've passed in my elastic, and after passing it, I had to secure the elastic and equally close the remaining parts of that sleeve. My down part where I left about 15 inches, okay, for slit on the side. I am closing it down, and this is how I am closing it. Okay, so I have sewn from the down part to the I have sewn from the down part to where the slit stopped. I top stitch on that part and then I continue sewing to the other end, and that is that for this tutorial. If this video was helpful, please do not forget to subscribe and put on the notification bell so that when I post, you're going to receive notifications. All right, bye bye.